Hey everyone, and welcome back to this walkthrough of the Natas wargame hosted by OverTheWire. In the last two videos, we went through level 0 and level 1, and you can see now we're connecting to level 2. And if you recall from the previous video, we created a GetFlag script, or essentially a GetFlag one-liner, for us to extract that password for Natas 1. So if I just cat that out, you can see we have the password here saved in a file, which we can now use to connect to Natas 2. So I'm just going to open that right up in the browser, and we'll take a look. And I'm going to put Natas 2 and paste in that password. And you can see we're authenticated, and there is nothing on this page. And, I mean, they're not wrong. There's nothing on the page, but as we know, we can look at the page source and see what is actually there in the HTML markup. And you can see for the most part, pretty much there is nothing there, except for this new image tag that was not seen in the previous challenges. So an image tag in HTML is obviously used to present an image on the page, but if we go back here, I don't actually see an image on this page. So what could be happening is maybe there's some CSS, a style sheet that's hiding this element, but it doesn't appear to be the case. But what we can actually do here is just open this image directly. So we can just click on this hyperlink here that's pointing to files/pixel.png. And if we open that up, you can see, maybe you can't even see that, but there is a single pixel image that's being presented here, which kind of explains why we can't see it on this page. Like, it might be somewhere here, but it's just a single pixel wide, so we can't actually see it. It might actually be right there. But when I first saw this, I noticed that obviously this image source here is what's called a relative URL, and it's actually pointing to the files directory on this web server, and then obviously pointing to the pixel.png file, or the image file itself. So when I see something like this, what I typically want to do is see what's going on with this files directory. You know, can we access it? Or, you know, if we navigate here to /files, are we going to get, redirected anywhere? So what we can do for a proof of concept here is we're just going to do /files, hit enter, and you can see we ended up on this page with the heading index of /files. So what we're seeing here is what's called a directory index, and most websites will have directory indexing turned off. But what this essentially is just a generated HTML page. You can even see there's some information leakage here. You know, we have the web server as well as the version number. We can see the underlying operating system, Ubuntu. But what this page is like I said, an HTML page that is displaying or indexing the names, and the file sizes, as well as some other information, last modified, description if it's there. But these are all the files that are located in this files directory. So if you think of a website, it's actually quite similar to, if we were to navigate to our main directory here, and if I were just to make a directory, called www, for example, we cd into this. So what you're going to find in a website directory is, you're going to have an index.html, for example. You're going to have different folders. So, we're going to have, a scripts folder, and a CSS folder for style sheets, an images folder, and in this case, we're going to have a files folder. So if we list this all out, what we're seeing here is essentially the directory index. So, we have the index page, we have these different folders that contain different files and such. And what directory indexing is doing is basically just listing these out on the web. And this can be a helpful feature for, certain use cases. But in most cases, it's a security risk, especially if sensitive files and directories are accidentally included in the directory listing. And this can happen for a bunch of different reasons, but, if the web server is misconfigured or if files are not properly secured, it could definitely lead to information leakage, disclosure. So for that reason, this is often a disabled feature in the web server. So you can see we have three different files located here, essentially. So we have the parent directory, and that's just going to link us back to the root of the web page. So you can see, for example, if we were in our files directory, for example, and if we were to do a cd ... to go back one, that's just going to bring us back to the main directory, which is essentially, because it's a web server, it's going to serve us the index.html page, for example. And then I can prove that if we click on parent directory here, it's going to send us to the root of the web server, which is this index page. So to make that point clear, for example, if I were to put index.html here, we're going to be redirected back to this, root page, root index page. So to go back here, you can see obviously we have two different files in this /files directory. So we have the pixel image, which, we're already familiar with, but then we have this users.txt file. And this is what I'm saying where, this could be an avenue for information leakage. If a file was accidentally moved to this files directory, well, it's going to be served up in this index. So if we click on users.txt, you can see we're sent to /files/users.txt, and what we have here looks like a username and password combination. So we have Alice, Bob, Charlie, but you can see this fourth listing here is the Natas 3 password. So now we have the password. That's the solution to this level. What we essentially did was look in the source code of the web page. From there, we found this interesting files directory. We tested to see if we could actually access it, and sure enough, we could. And within this directory that was indexed, we can see this users file, which shouldn't be there, but fortunately for us, it is, and we can retrieve this password. That's typically the easiest way to solve this level is in the browser here, but I will show you for good measure. We'll do a GetFlag one-liner. So I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to go back to our main Natas directory. I'm just going to remove that www folder we created just for proof of concept. And now I'm going to create a directory for this level. So you can see we have Natas 2 folder there. So what I'm going to do now is go through this one-liner. So we're going to do a curl command. We're not going to use the sh script anymore. It's probably going to be a lot faster for us just to do some of these things more bespoke, but we are, like I said, we're going to do the GetFlag one-liners for each of these levels as much as we can. So as I said, we know the URL we want to look for, and that's that /files/users.txt. So what we're going to do is curl. We're going to put in the Natas2 URL, and then /files/users.txt. And if you remember from last time, we're going to have to do that tac-u to input our user credentials. And that's going to be Natas2. And then remember with the colon to separate the username and the password. We're going to do something new here because we have the password saved in a file. We can actually reference it. We can reference the contents of that file in this command, just so we don't have to cat it out again and copy it manually. So to do this, we're going to essentially run a command in a command, and we're going to get the return or the standard output of that command and input it into this command, if that makes sense at all. So we're going to do a $sign with an opening bracket, and now we're just going to type our command. So what we want to do is get the output of that file that contains the password. So we're just going to do cat, and it's under Natas01, and we just called it Natas01 as well. We're going to close that out, and that is it. So if we run this, you can see we're just getting the contents of that users.txt file. So there we go, we're pretty much almost there. I'm going to run this again and just add the tac-s just to silence the progress bar when we start grepping things out here. Because we're going to pipe this to grep, and we're just going to search for Natas3, and that's going to pull down this Natas3 line. And we're pretty much there. This is more than likely good enough, but we just want the password. So we're going to pipe this out to another command, and this is going to be a new command in this series, and it's going to be cut, the cut command. And the cut command is essentially used just to remove sections from each line of a file. And we can specify things like a delimiter, basically specify what character we want to cut from. And then we can also specify a field. So for in this example, our delimiter is going to be the colon because we want to make a cut here essentially. And then we're going to be left with two fields. The first field is going to be the username here, Natas, which was everything before our delimiter. And the second field is going to be just this password, and that's what we're going to specify. And hopefully that's not too hard to see. We're just going to do the tac-d option to specify that delimiter, and we're just going to give it a colon. And then the only other option we need here, or argument, is going to be tac-f, and that's to specify which field we want. For example, if we were to put 1, well, we're just going to get Natas3. But if we put 2, that's going to be everything after our delimiter, and that's going to be just this password here. So if we run this, whoops, and I seem to have forgotten a space because it went to a new line. There we go. So we're going to run that, and we're just getting the password here, just as we wanted. I'm just going to clear that and rerun just so it's easier to see. So we have the password here now, and what we're going to do is just redirect the output here to Natas02, and we'll just call it Natas2. So there we go, and if we cat this out now, there we go, we have the password. And just to prove that this works, what we'll do is run our natas.sh script again. So I'm just going to run natas.sh, and the next level is going to be Natas3. And once again, for the password here, we don't actually need to paste this. What we can do is do our command within a command sort of thing, and we're just going to run cat natas02 and the name of the file. So in theory, this should work. There we go. So we're loading the page. We're not getting a 403 unauthorized. You can see we've loaded the next level here, which we'll get to in the next video. So that was about it. Hopefully shorter than the other videos. We're sort of getting into a groove here, but like I said in the last video, things are going to start ramping up. Maybe not in the next couple levels, but definitely as we hit 10 and onwards. So looking forward to that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.